Back to the top story we're tracking here on DD India News. Syria faces a historic turning point after the dramatic fall of President Bashar al-Assad's regime. While Syrians celebrate their newfound freedom, the challenge of rebuilding the country has just begun. The rebels are holding talks to form a transitional government. Joining us is Dr. Deepika Saraswat. Dr. Saraswat is an associate fellow at the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defence Studies and Analysis. It's a government-funded think tank headquartered in New Delhi. Dr. Saraswat, welcome to DD India News. First up, what do you make of the moves to form a transitional government in Syria? The rebels have named a new head of government, but the US and some of its European allies have designated the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham as a terrorist group. So can it be trusted with running a government?
Right. This very swift movement that the rebels made over the last 10 days or so, and the agreement that came in place between Russia and some other regional interlocutors, which allowed for Bashar al-Assad to take refuge in Moscow and put his prime minister in charge of peaceful transfer of power. I think that understanding that was reached in run-up to the rebel offensive in Damascus, I think, is what we are seeing playing out in terms of how this transitional government is taking shape, where the prime minister of the previous regime is spearheading together with the rebels led by HTS. And yes, the rebels, there are doubts about them given they, HTS remains on UN terror designation list and also, designated by several European countries. So there remain doubts, but at the same time, UN and the European countries are very much keen on, shaping this peaceful transition so that the refugees can return. And we see that the Europeans are in a hurry to ensure the return of the refugee. Already you see that the Germans have announced that they will no longer be, taking, they have freezed the...
to process the asylum applications.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I think all these stakeholders are in a hurry to shape a peaceful transition. Yeah.
Dr. Saraswat, I want us to talk about three regional players: Israel, Turkey and Iran. Let's start with Israel first. Israel is sending its troops to new areas in Golan Heights. It's conducted airstrikes on military targets inside Syria as well. What is Israel up to in Syria? What is its game plan or strategy?
Well, Israel, of course, is happy about the fact that Bashar al-Assad's government, Bashar al-Assad-led Syria, which was a key pillar of the Iranian-led axis of resistance, is gone. But the uncertainty in Syria and the fact that the new rising political forces in Syria are essentially Sunni jihadists. So Israel has jumped onto this taking preemptive action, targeting Syrian military facilities, warehouses, air defenses, anything that is of military significance. They have targeted in last 48 hours, which is being touted as one of the most expansive air campaign that Israel has ever taken. So I think Israel is trying to preempt any military threat that the so-called new Syria could pose. And that's very understandable because Syria shares a big border with Israel, and Israel over the last 10 years have been carrying out an air campaign against Bashar al-Assad, and now we see more of that coming.
Indeed. Let's talk about another regional actor, Turkey. Does Assad's fall at the hands of the groups it supports overtly and covertly strengthen the role of Erdogan in this evolving matrix?
I think it's a mixed, the implications are going to be very mixed for Erdogan-led Turkey. Because, of course, Iran's influence has gone down, and Iranian-backed government is out, and Turkish backed forces, not overtly. Turkey claims that it does not overtly supports HTS, but the Free Syrian Army that it has supported over the last decade or so.
Right.
So they are on the rise, but at the same time, it has a huge Kurdish problem. Northeastern Syria, we have US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces. They have a stronghold, and increasingly, there is a kind of collision happening between these resurgent HTS and the Kurdish forces. And I think that's going to become a big challenge for Turkey, the obvious gains notwithstanding.
Do you think Syria runs the risk of getting fragmented, what with so many groups active inside the country? There's the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, there is the Syrian National Army supported by Turkey, and then there is the Syrian Democratic Forces led by the ethnic Kurds, which is supported by the US. Could Syria once again become a fertile ground for the Islamic State?
Well, that's the fear that many of the regional countries, including India, there is this fear that the complete collapse of the central authority of the state may lead to a vacuum which can be exploited by jihadists, something that happened in the early years of the Syrian civil war. So hence the urgency that is being attached to setting up a transitional government. But given the makeup of the rebel forces, and it remains within the realm of possibility that the different carve out the spheres that different forces have, they need to be reconciled. And I think there is a strong support for maintaining the territorial integrity of Syria as a nation state by all the key important players, because because the disintegration may create uncertainties which are difficult, which may be difficult to control and pose new challenges. So I think the most regional stakeholders do agree on maintaining the territorial integrity of Syria.
Right, and talking about stakeholders, where does it all leave Iran? Does its influence stand further diminished in the region? And more importantly, how will it respond to these changes on the ground?
Absolutely. Iran, its region-wide axis of resistance has, collapsed like dominoes in last several months, starting with the Israel-Hezbollah war, end of September this year. So, of course, with that, it has, had a domino effect, and it does, raise concern for Iran as to, if it can, spread to Iraq, or you hear that kind of thing, that whether it's going to stop in Syria, given the kind of military dominance that Israel feels right now, the kind of momentum Israel has shown over the last 1 year. So, of course, Iranian regional position has taken a massive hit, and they will probably have to do a lot of rethink in terms of, the balance of, diplomacy and their, active presence across the region on the ground. So I think there will be a rethink that may be already happening in Tehran.
Dr. Deepika Saraswat, may I thank you for your time. Appreciate it.